Today, I'm going to demystify parallel drum bus processing so you can make sure your drums stay punchy, but also have this massive 3D sound space. We'll also talk about what I see other people doing wrong so that you're not making the same mistakes. And at the end of this video, you're going to have all the tools you need to sound like a pro. I'm probably using this song too much, but I don't care because it has fast parts, it has slow parts. Let me just show you what we're working with. So the drums sound pretty good, but they could sound better. They don't sound full. They don't sound really 3D to me. Just kind of somewhat glued together, a little pokey, but we're going to fix that problem right now. All right, so what do we do to try to get a massive drum sound? What I see everybody doing is they'll go to their drum bus and they just throw on some compressor and they just obliterate it with a compressor, thinking that it's going to make it punchy. Okay, and it will to some degree, so check this out. So right now people are like, oh yeah, it's really glued and everything, but I want it to sound bigger, so I'm going to compress it more and then it'll sound bigger. But right around here, the kick and snare start falling apart. We stop getting that separation of the punch, and it kind of just starts sounding a little bit flat, and all the ambience is like kind of all the same volume. There's really not any definition. So what are all these professional mixers doing to make their drums sound like the best of both worlds, right? That have that space when we really compress it, but still have punch. The secret is this parallel drum bus compression or parallel compression strategy. So how do we do that? All you need to do is to make another group bus or an auxiliary track or send effects. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to make a group track and we're going to feed it to our drum all bus. Okay, so we're going to create a drum parallel compression. Drum para comp. Perfect. Okay. All right, so here's our drum parallel compressor. What we want to do to make the shells of the drum kit sound bigger than life is we want to send each of those individual tracks to this drum parallel compression group bus, okay, or this send effect. So let's go to our snare drum. Here's our snare drum track. It's going to sum all these together, and then we're just going to add a send effect. Ooh, you can just see it above my shiny bald head. And we're going to send to that drum parallel compression, okay? And we'll send it at full volume. Let's do the same with the kick drum. Let's add that send, para, okay, got that one. Turn it on, full volume. Let's do the toms too because we want those to be punchy. We don't want them just kind of drown out. Now, the next part is up to you. If you want to make your cymbals kind of pump and breathe a little bit more, you can actually send some individual cymbal tracks to the drum parallel bus as well. So let's do that. The beauty of setting it up as a group track or a send effects track is we can adjust the level that we feed it. So if we want to like get rid of the cymbals, we can just take the send off. Or if we want to lower it down or make it louder to kind of add a little bit more excitement with cymbals, we can do that. So in this case, let's put this at like -9 because cymbals get loud and rowdy in a parallel compression when we're really driving it hard. So I don't want the cymbals to start sounding washy. So let's keep this lower. And then for fun, let's just also add the room track. So let me add that. Okay. And we'll put that at like -6, a little bit quieter. Okay. So now if we listen to our parallel compression bus. Okay, it's loud and rowdy. Sorry if I blew your ears out. Now what we want to do is we want to do two things. One is we can put an EQ before and after a compressor so we can shape the sound feeding the compressor. So if we don't want it to react so hard and aggressively on the kick drum, we can do that by rolling off like a lot of the low end off the kick drum. Okay, so then it won't react so aggressively. Now let's put an aggressive compressor. So there's this one by Kive Audio that I really like. It's called XT Max. It's actually free. In the description, download my favorite free mixing and mastering plugins guide, and I'm pretty sure this plugin is in there. And then check out all the free stuff that I have in there. There's also a bunch of samples and things you can download for free in that guide as well. So a lot of value. Check that out. So what do we do with this? We're going to obliterate this parallel drum bus. I like to have the auto gain on so that I can just crank this thing. And let's see what it sounds like. All right, we're hitting this way too hard, okay, because we're feeding it really aggressively already. So let's back it off. We want the punch and we want some movement. So let me show you what happens if we have the attack set too fast. Okay, so this stands for fast, medium, and slow. When the attack is fast, we get space. We don't get punch. When it's on medium, we get a little bit of both, but it kind of errs more on the space side and less punch. So now we're getting a little bit of like slappiness there, which is kind of cool. If we go to slow, this is where the punch is really going to come in. Yeah. And if you want it to be really aggressive, you can make your release fast. So now you're getting like huge room plus the punch. Okay, in my opinion, that usually ends up somewhat poorly unless it's like song's got a lot of space. This one might be okay. And then if it's slow release, it just kind of smooths everything out. Okay, much less room. But medium is like kind of the best of both worlds in my opinion. So now we can adjust some of the sidechain filtering if we want. What this means is that this compressor is going to ignore everything underneath this value, okay? So, which means it's going to react less to the sub energy of the kick drum, which might be something that we want. If we think it's too pumpy with the kick drum, we can roll this up and it will soften the compression when the kick drum hits. The kick drum is like more present now. It's instead of ducking so much. So you get less movement. It feels a little bit tighter and more of like a coherent room. So I do like this sidechain filter. Let's keep it up to like 150-ish. Maybe a little lower. I like a little bit of movement. And the last thing we can play with is the knee. So let me just show you what that sounds like. Basically, a soft knee is going to make the compression happen sooner, so it's going to be less pumpy, a little bit smoother overall. And then hard is going to be really aggressive, a lot of movement. It's going to feel like it's rubber banding back and forth. Personally, for me, I like it a little bit in the middle right here. So now we have that set up. Let's take this fader, put it down to minus infinity, bring our drums back in, okay? And we're just gonna ride this fader up and listen to the drum and hear how it reinforces everything. Now, you might notice that once we start getting really loud here, we're getting some weird clashing frequencies. So the beauty of setting this up as a group send or an auxiliary track is we can just keep adding stuff to it to fix those problems. If we just put this on the drum bus itself, you have to use the dry wet knob and then you can't really do any subsequent processing to just the pumpy stuff. Okay, you'd be affecting all of the drums. So let's set up an EQ, but the thing about this EQ is we really want a linear phase EQ. We're processing this in parallel with everything else, and we're going to cause phase shift when we're doing regular EQs. We actually have to use something called a linear phase EQ. The truth of it is you can use any EQ you want, but your EQ might be unpredictable if you don't use a linear phase EQ. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use a linear phase EQ. So I'm going to use FabFilter Pro Q3. I'm going to put this into linear phase. Let's get rid of the annoying frequencies. So let's push this up and hear where the clash is. this. Just a lot smoother, right? And we could probably roll off a little bit of highs. And then let's also roll off a little bit of sub. Just want to tighten it up a little bit. There's a little bit too much bloom in that kick drum, but I do want some of the low energy there because it's a slower track. There's a lot more room for this thing to breathe. Now that we've kind of fixed those harsh frequency imbalances, let's take that gain slider and pull this back down on our parallel drum bus, and we'll do a playback in the context of the song, and let's push this up until it works with the song. Don't do it in solo with just the drums, because that's not going to help us, right? We want our drums to be punchy in the song, okay? So this is the best way to do it. So let's get everything going together. We're going to ride up our parallel drum bus and then listen for the spot where we're getting that big, massive sound and then punchy drums at the same time. Here we go.
Don't know what to do with you. Don't know how to spill the truth. You are all in my head. Leave you staring out your eyes.
All right, I like this. Without it, it just sounds so wimpy. There you go. That was done with a free compressor plugin. Shout out to Kive. These guys are awesome. And this like 3 EQ moves. A little dip out of like 5.5K, roll off the top end, clean up the subs. Done. Drums sound polished, huge, and punchy, baby. That is what I do and a lot of other professional mixing engineers do to get their drums sounding 3D and still have punch and body. You don't just want to obliterate the drum bus with some magical drum bus compressor. We need to set up things in parallel to be able to squeeze out the most and the best parts of every part of the drum. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Was this eye-opening? Did you already know all this stuff? Did ChatGPT say you should do this anyways? Let me know in the comments. And also let me know what kind of compressors or saturators you're using to make your drums hit hard and sound massive. Don't forget, in the description, I have a download to get my free mixing and mastering plugins guide. It's got all of my favorite free plugins, including this one. So I just always hit this microphone. If you feel like supporting this channel, you can buy me like a cup of coffee once a month. You can join the channel membership below. I have access to a bunch of cool behind the scenes videos. There's a vocal mixing masterclass back there. Teach you everything you need to know to mix professional sounding vocals. I'm always adding stuff all the time. It's pretty cool. Go check that out. I'm Bobby Bale, the mixing and mastering engineer at Rayton Productions. I'll see you in the next video.